Wait, you left the.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Apostate Weekly. I'm your host, James.
And I'm Ryan.
And what did I leave?
You left the yes, no portion of the.
Well, that's the first time I've ever done the poll for this, okay? So I'm sorry.
It's okay. You're learning. We're learning
I'm
here,
learning. I'm
guys.
learning. I'm learning on the fly here, okay?
That's right. That's how we
I'm
do.
learning about my fly on the fly.
On the rip.
All right. I'll zip up those comments now. So today we have some stories for you coming out of Lithuania and Pennsylvania.
Oops.
And we also have some more. If you are part of the Apostate Weekly Facebook group, you'll also know that we also have another story about blood maps in the Jehovah's Witnesses. So with
Ooh.
that being said, let's run the intro and get into the show. Okay. So we're coming back at you with another fun-filled, lively action week of Jehovah's Witness news. Good morning, Ken, and everybody else who is watching but not commenting.
Ken chose yes.
And I told him no.
It's
like
participating.
My youngest son, he likes to do like thumbs up or thumbs down, right? And whatever one you give him, he likes to play the game. Like if you give him thumbs up, he'll take your hand and no, thumbs down. It's a game with him.
Aw.
And then I'll tease him. I'll take his thumb and I'll go, no, thumb sideways.
Whatever that means.
I don't know. He doesn't even know. It's just a game we play.
It's a game. The fun
All
one.
in good fun. So hope everybody's doing well this week and, not in prison for crimes that they've committed.
Right. Let's hope not.
And also not losing their community status either, because, those are all things happening in the headlines this week.
Yeah, the Jehovah's Witnesses seem to be getting the wrath of the law. But it's their own fault. It's not because the law's going after them.
No.
They just are putting themselves in hot water.
Yes, they are. Well, why don't we start with the Lithuania story this morning? Because that broke like right after our show last week. And
yeah.
It was pretty big news coming down because we already have them losing their religious status in Norway. Now they're under attack in Lithuania.
Right. Okay, so Lithuania, this was for me just another solidifying moment in history that people are starting to recognize that what the Jehovah's Witness organization is doing, how they operate, how they behave, is not only, in my opinion, against Bible principles, but it's also against the principle and integrity of the law. So it came down to 88 MPs who all agreed that, let me scroll just a little bit more, who all agreed that the Jehovah's Witness organization does not align with their government laws, their standards. Number one is because of the blood issue, not taking blood transfusions, but also they seem to have a problem with Jehovah's Witnesses not wanting to join their army.
Yeah, the military, yeah.
Right, in order to protect their country if an invasion was imminent.
And also that included alternative national defense services too. So not just the
Yes.
military, even the alternatives that they were offered, they're refusing to do as well.
Yeah, I was trying to think of the word. I didn't wanna say military because I knew it wasn't just military, but that's exactly the problem. And I actually, even though I do not like the army, I do not like the armed forces, the way that they're ran. I think it's disgusting the way that we, treat other people in war and our own people in war. But I do think that it's necessary to have people who have some kind of training for either emergency services or to understand how to use a weapon if there were ever, I mean, God forbid there were an alien invasion, right? You probably
Mhm.
would not just want to start handing out weapons to everyday civilians. But if you had people trained, we could defend ourselves more readily. I believe that people should be trained in these special circumstances, and Jehovah's Witnesses should not be allowed to not participate. The only people who shouldn't be able to participate are those who truly cannot for, maybe they're living with a disability or whatever. I think
Yes.
how do you feel? Maybe that should have been the poll question. How do you feel about that, James?
I think that the witnesses really need to get their act together and stop having their heads up their asses because there
Compatible.
are there are alternative ways to serve and do things without it violating even their own principles that they claim to follow. You know, you can go into medical fields in it. You can go into garbage cleanup or cooking. All those things don't have you picking up a gun and fighting other people. Those things are helping other people. So
Right.
all those things can be done within this. Um, I wanted to bring out one of the things that really got me too with this article, and it was right after that line about the military or alternative national defense services.
Do I need to go up or down? I'm sorry.
No, I got it. It's good.
Okay.
It says that they encourage non-compliance with the Constitution and the requirements arising from it to defend the state against foreign armed attack. So they're literally telling their members to not comply with the laws of the land.
Mhm. Yep,
And
direct orders to not obey.
I understand the Jehovah's Witness policy of we obey men's rules unless it conflicts with what they claim to be God's rules. However, like I just said a moment ago, there are alternative ways that they can still do it without breaking those rules if they really wanted to. And the
100%.
governing body could give them that out to make it so much easier for them to not lose their registration. But this is almost like the Mexico Malawi situation again, where on the
Yeah.
one hand, you're told not to get this party card, and on the other hand, the other country is told, "Oh yeah, you can as long as you bribe the officials and do this, it's okay." So you got these two contradictory commands from the governing body that is directly harming its people, and this is going to directly harm them in this country when they lose their religious status over this.
100%, James. I agree. I think that there are many ways that they can still continue to help support this country, be part of, or excuse, not this country, that country, and not break their spiritual practices. They don't have to
Yeah,
feel guilty. The only reason they would feel guilty is because that is the feeling that is being imparted on them by the Jehovah's Witness intentionally because they don't care if it said there's like 2,000 plus Jehovah's Witnesses because they don't care if
yeah.
2,000 plus Jehovah's Witnesses have to go to jail.
No, they really don't.
That's 2,000 heroes
That's
that they
that's
can put on there.
2000. Yeah, exactly. And it's also gonna give them so much, uh, propaganda porn
Mm,
for their broadcast and, "Oh, see, if we we're standing for our rights for Jehovah, and this is what happens, and we're so persecuted, and feel bad for us, and send us more money because we need to help them out, but really we're only paying for court cases.
Yeah, that's what it's going to, but they wouldn't know that because they're not allowed to pay attention to the news, and even if they did, they would likely say that it's propaganda because everybody is out to get them because of that us versus them cult mentality that's imbued in them.
Yeah, exactly. And this is just another sad consequence of their hard-headedness right here.
Very
Because
hard.
I think any reasonable rank and file member would say, no, let's do what we can to keep our status. We can do these alternative things, but because it's coming from the governing body, that's what they got to do. There is no question. Whether it makes sense in the eyes of a human or not, they must obey.
Yeah. I don't know. It's ridiculous. I am it's frustrating. They'll paint themselves as the victim. They certainly aren't.
You
I'll
know,
tell
and
you.
again, I'm going to stress too, because the prohibition of blood, and especially here where it says it's especially emphasizing the value of a child's life and health, that is a big deal. You
Yeah.
know, I posted this is a story coming up later on, but I'm going to give a little teaser for it right now about um, what the website AJWRB has on it. And so I posted about it on the Apostate Weekly Facebook group. And one of my friends commented saying that she had to go through surgery like 2 or 3 times since she's left the witnesses. And every time she's needed to have a blood transfusion, or she
Right.
would have died because she was anemic.
Mhm.
And, you know, had she still been a Jehovah Witness, she wouldn't be here right now.
Y'all, that's a very common problem. I'm anemic. My children are anemic. Like I just always have a very low red blood count. So if somebody like, for instance, had a baby and started to hemorrhage, maybe normally it would be a fine situation, no problemo. But in that instance, it could be life or death in a matter of moments. Like I'm telling you, I've watched people bleed out and it does not take very long.
No, it doesn't.
Mm-mm.
And, you know, especially if you're going to schedule a surgery as a witness or whatever, then they'll send in the hospital liaison committee. So you'll have basically bullies trying to keep you in line when when
Guilty
they
you.
when they lie to you. And this is a big lie. They will tell you medical decisions are your choice to make, and then turn around and send in the bullies to make you make
Mhm.
the decision they want you to
Gaslight.
make.
Yep, they will gaslight and guilt you and just put you through the mental gymnastics of why you need to stay resound in your choice to not take blood. They don't
Yeah.
care. It's
No, they don't.
mm,
They they have no compassion whatsoever. All they want is to have the advertisement for their magazines and their website to show that they're the true religion because these things are happening to them, but these are the things that they are making happen to them. They are their own self-fulfilling prophecy.
right. Oh,
Yeah, I
yeah,
know. It's
so
just
true, Sam.
it's just sad, you know.
The
And
HLC are the mob enforcers for the governing body. I've seen
yeah,
them in action. 100.
I've actually never seen them in action. I'm lucky that
I've
way.
Yeah, I have my own personal experience. Not fun. Like little
Ugh,
bees.
they need to just buzz off.
Yeah, I wish.
All right, shall we go on to our next crappy story for the morning?
Moving along.
Move along. Let's go ahead and never. That's I know what I'm doing, I think. uh, so Lancaster, Pennsylvania. This witness elder was found guilty on all charges for molestations he did in 1999. Finally got justice. Actually, what was funny, well, not funny, um, on Reddit, one of the people who posted about this was a victim of this guy.
Oh, wow. An actual victim from him
Yes.
posted on Reddit.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
And I said to her, I said, I'm so sorry that that happened to you, but at the same time, I'm happy that you got some sort of justice out of this
Finally.
because, yeah, I mean, we're talking 25 years later. This guy's 45 years old. So he was 20 years old when
Right.
he was doing this to children, you know, and I doubt he was an elder at the time. At 20 years old, you're not usually an elder, but because he probably is now, is why they plaster that he's an elder on the news article.
Mhm.
And again, how did he get access to these children? He used his position as an elder to gain access and abuse these children.
As they do.
And he was convicted on 12 charges that included aggravated indecent assault, assault, and endangering the welfare of children. And, goes on to say here how he weaponized the religion to gain community trust and proximity to abuse the children. And that is a huge statement right there,
Yeah.
because that is exactly what these predators do. They weaponize their positions in the religious community because what do you always hear from the platform? Oh, you need to trust the elders, and the elders deserve your trust and respect. And, so they're put on this pedestal. And then you get people like this abusing their power
Yep.
and on that pedestal. And now, speaking of abusing power, I got a story already for next week. I'm going to give a little teaser about, because there was a victim of CSA that came out and went to a lawyer and was trying to, prosecute these people for what they did to her. This lawyer abused his position and abused her all over again.
Oh, Jesus.
So that's going to be a teaser for next week's story that we're going to cover. It is, and I'm hoping we get some more details because this is just a messed up story.
Right.
My friend Fee, who's been on the show before, sent it to me, and we were talking about it last night, and it was just so messed up. But the reason I bring it up though is because of this right here. People using their power to take advantage of others. And in this case, this person was re-traumatizing a victim who had already been traumatized by this. So that
Yeah.
makes it even worse.
Right.
And there's some other things that are really bad about it too. I'm not going to say right now. I mean, you think that's bad enough. It gets worse. So stay
Right.
tuned for that for next week to hear the worst parts.
All new lows.
Yes.
So this guy had 12 charges brought against him, and he called the children demons that made allegations that he abused, allegedly. Well, he's charged, so not allegedly, but he called them demons to discredit them in order to like dehumanize them. And he also tried to stop their baptisms. He tried to delay them
Yeah, which that doesn't make sense why he would do that though.
because he wanted to abuse his power. He wanted to humiliate them and harm
Well,
them,
I mean,
discredit.
I get that, but like even still in the congregation, you would think them getting baptized would be a good thing, especially for him, because that helps keep those children even more ensnared under him.
Right, yeah, he has a little bit more control because now
Exactly.
they're baptized, but yeah, just because he could. That's how disgusting he is. Um, Actually, I would like to really quick, if you don't mind, I wanna read the quote from Michelle Henry because she's just such a freaking champion, and I really love her
Yeah,
for
go
all
right
the
ahead.
hard work that she's doing. So, it's highlighted there, but, she said that the defendant weaponized religion to gain community trust and proximity to abused children, then took steps as an elder to have the victims discredited. The tenacity of investigators and the brave survivors of this abuse did not allow that to happen, and this predatory defendant is now held accountable. So, I just want to say hats off to you, Michelle. Thank you so much for taking this seriously and
Yes.
doing the investigative work that it takes to see beyond that this isn't just a one off, that this is a systematic endemic problem inside of the organization because of the rules that they not only give to people and make them stick by, but give authority and power to people who should not hold it, who do not
Mhm.
deserve that position of power, and they use it and abuse it.
Yeah. And also hats off to the victims for stepping up and speaking out as well,
Thank you.
because that is never easy for them, and I'm so happy we have more educated psychologists nowadays that know how to handle these things and not re-traumatize the victims like in years past. So we've made major strides in that, and this that really helps these victims to stand up and step out and tell their stories when they know that they're going to be with somebody responsible enough to not re-traumatize them all over again.
Yeah. That's a good point, Ken. Delaying their baptisms could have required more molding by him to get them ready for baptism. That's always a possibility too.
Yeah, it is. I
Who knows how
mean,
many times he did that as well?
yeah. How many times he molded them.
Yeah. Ugh, so unethical.
Oh, there's this, the word ethics isn't even
No.
in the same universe as these people.
And then they wonder why, like, the whole community of faith is undermined and people don't trust them anymore and people don't want to come back because this guy was, for whatever reason, kicked out. We know what reasons, and then let back in.
Yeah.
So they knew something was up, did nothing about it, and then he continued to abuse people,
Well,
children.
and think about how long did this guy sit in the same kingdom hall as those children?
Oh God. Oh,
Year after
yep,
year. And
years.
they had to look at him and
Mhm.
see him, and then they see him on stage giving talks, telling them what to do, how to act, how to, dress, how to behave, you know, and all the while knowing what he did to them, and they still got to sit there and listen to him tell them how to be good people.
Yep. That would just burn me inside out.
Yeah. And I mean, as a father, if I found out about that, I'm not saying I would burn him on the outside, but I'm not saying I started the fire either.
Right. Oh goodness. Yeah. These people are lucky that the law is dealing with them and it's not up to us.
Yeah.
That's all I'm
I
gonna say about
mean,
that.
there's almost something to be said about the Old Testament laws to take a person outside the camp like that and stone them to death. There
Mhm.
really is. I mean,
There's
I
something
don't
to be
really
said.
advocate for it, but there is still something to be said as, especially thinking as a parent and how upset I would be over it and
Oh God, yeah.
what I would want to do to that person.
Yep. Same. Same.
The law is more humane than I am when it comes to the treatment of those people.
Yeah, to some extent, to some extent.
Yeah. But I mean, what do you do when you're upset and mad at somebody like that who hurt your family?
Well, especially considering that the law doesn't always handle things like it's supposed to be. I don't think anyway. I don't think our law is just. I don't think we have very just laws, but
No, we don't.
you work with what you got, I guess.
Well, moving on, I got one more bad story, and then we'll go into the AJWRB one here. This one's out of Milwaukee, and I'm gonna take this one with a grain of salt as much as I can because I do not have any links for this news article or anything. This was a Reddit post. So this is one of those ones I say take it for what it is because there's nothing to back up the story. Okay.
Okay.
I don't generally, if I present a story like this, I don't want to, if I have the article, I will present the article. But since I don't, that's why I'm putting this disclaimer out because it may or may not be true.
Mhm.
So take it for what it is. But it says here out of Rain County, Wisconsin, 78-year-old man was arrested and faces 10 counts of possession of child corn.
Mm.
And he was put into the jail on a $500,000 bond. And yes, this was in the XJW community. So the person who edited this said they did look him up in the Wisconsin court system, and he was released on a signature bond. If anyone's been to Sheboygan, Waukegan, and Janesville, knows this guy and has something to say, contact the prosecutor and keep your family away. So,
Wow.
yeah, another guy who shouldn't be out walking free.
No, absolutely not.
Because I tell you what, these people they just keep doing this and doing it and getting away with it because these criminals, they learn the system and the ins and outs and how they can go in and out of the system and not have to spend too much time in jail ever.
Yeah, you learn to work the system.
Yeah, they do, and that's the sad part about it.
Yep.
So, okay. Now, I've been teasing it all show long. Let me get into this here. So, AJWRB has a what they call a blood map, a watchtower blood map. And I know this is a good website to go to and very accurate as far as it can be on their information. This website right here was actually one of the websites that helped my mother wake up from the religion. So, good website to go to. They have a map here, what they call the blood map. And this is they try to track who has died from refusing a blood transfusion. And you can go onto the map and you can scroll in to your area, your country, wherever you live. And you can see as I'm scrolling, you can see all the bubbles popping up as I scroll through. And then you could zoom in and you could basically see where people who've refused a blood transfusion have passed away. I actually was looking at it in my area, and there's one right here in my area.
Wow.
And they give you, when you click on it, and this is how you know it's good. You click on it, it actually takes you to the link of the article, news article, reporting on the person who passed away because of this policy.
Awesome. Love that. Do they
So
also take submissions?
I don't know. That's a good question. I'm sure they do because this is one of those. um, I'm trying to see if they have anything on the site that says that, because this is one of those things where if you were just one person trying to keep track of all of this, it would probably be
Overwhelming.
impossible for you to.
Yeah.
So, I mean, here's somewhere you can leave a comment and a name with an email. So that might be one way to leave a submission if you know of anybody. But you know, I think this is going to be one of those things. It's got to be basically a worldwide effort. You know, everybody keeping their eyes out on the stories and seeing, you know, if there is, make a submission and get this website updated. I mean, it's a sad thing to see, but at the same time, it really proves a powerful point as far as how harmful that policy is to the people and the religion.
Yep. Yeah. I think is it like 500 people? I can't remember the stats, but I think it's somewhere around 500 plus people a year die from refusing blood transfusions.
That might be about right.
It's not a small number, and there's a possibility that it's underreported.
Oh yeah, I think it's underreported more than
Mhm.
anything,
Yeah.
just because following the stories and the story's in the news, you're going to be able to find it and see
Is it
it.
1,000? Okay. It I believe you. I believe
But
you. I thought it was somewhere between 500 to 1,000 the last time I looked, but I couldn't remember for sure. So, yeah.
and if it's not in the news, you're not going to find it as easily because especially in this country, you have HIPAA laws. So it's not like you could just go to the hospitals and ask, "Hey, has anybody here been a Jehovah's Witness that has died from lack of a blood transfusion lately?"
Right.
So
Doesn't just
that's
work
why
like that.
that's why I think, you know, I I agree with that number. I don't have anything to say yes or no to it, but I also think it might be a lot more.
Oh god. Really, because you have to remember that there are people who've been indoctrinated with this information in their childhood, and maybe their parents, though, weren't serious Jehovah's Witnesses, so they themselves weren't serious, members of the congregation, but still practice the Jehovah's Witness lifestyle and feel like, even as I did when I left, that the no blood policy is a good and very smart policy because you don't want to catch a disease. That would be silly. We don't trust this science. I'd rather have everlasting life.
Yeah,
So I
exactly.
do not doubt that there's more people who we just don't know.
Oh yeah. And then I mean, and I like Doc's comment here. One is too many. Absolutely, one
Agreed.
is way too many. But here's something else to consider too. If go back in, and this is something we don't have, unfortunately, the historical data on how many people in the past have died since the outset of this policy.
Mm-mm. Nope.
I
We
would
won't
hate
know
to
their
see that number.
names. We won't know how many. They're just lost, sadly.
You know, I mean, are there people who survived? Yes, I'm sitting right here in front of you because I survived it, but others weren't so lucky.
Mm-mm.
So, see, exactly, and that's why we'll
Oops,
never
sorry.
fully know the complete numbers of it, Ken, because you won't always get a report on it.
Nope.
So, and that's just the sad thing.
What an excuse. Oh, they'll probably die anyway. Let's just stop trying. What kind of answer
Yeah,
is that?
that's a Sam answer.
But it's sad but true. I agree.
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah, and then here he makes a good point. And then the ones who died before they allowed organ transplants. Yeah, exactly. We'll never know. We will never know.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering about the map, like, how far back does it is do
Yeah,
we need to, as people helping out, like, submit cases so we can even populate this map to the fullest extent of our ability?
Right. And they even admit here, they say this map is by no means a complete representation of
Yeah.
every patient or medical emergency when the use of blood was an issue. No matter how newsworthy circumstances might be, many cases are never reported to or by the media, nor are medical situations when people do not take blood, and yet they manage to survive. For purposes of our map, we will only record the information we found reported by the public media or other reliable and verifiable sources. So, and that's the best they can do, and that's all we can ask of any kind of map like this.
Right. Of course, it can't be extensive because we don't even have access to all the data. We're working
Yeah.
with what we have and what we see. As Doc said, one is far too many.
Yes, exactly. And even add to the list there. I just read this on their site here. Even when the use of per minute blood fractions might have saved their life. So, add that to the list of crap they threw out there to
All right.
try to satiate the witnesses a little bit. Oh, you can have fractions of blood.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, sure.
We just start making stuff up now.
What scriptures blood fractions in again?
Yeah,
Show me
I'd
exactly in
love
the
to.
Bible where it says you can have blood fractions.
Right. Show me the word transfusion first. How about that?
Yeah,
Show
yeah,
me the word transfusion that they even
and then
understand what that means
and
first.
then show me medically what transfusion actually means versus eating.
Right. Because ingestion, we don't just take food. I don't take a burger, mush it up into a liquid, and then inject it into my bloodstream. That's just not how,
Oh, you don't? I do that all the time.
it's just not how these things work, guys. Did
It's
you
it's
know?
so easy. It's so easy. I don't even have to chew. I just shoot it straight in. I shoot
Put it
that
into the
burger and
blender.
hot dog right up my arm.
I'm bougie like that. I don't have to chew my food.
That's right.
You peons, you do so much work.
I
It's
know.
ridiculous. I
It's
just
like
put it in my does it blend? It does. Does it inject? It does.
it's just like I use a lung machine to breathe. Why would I do that on my own?
It's too much work.
I
You
know.
peasants
Shoot.
love to do physical labor.
That's just for the little, broke people out there.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Oh.
Pardon me. Where's my champagne? Where's my champagne, please?
Servant, servant.
Where's my grapes? Fan me.
I was just about to say that.
Please just oh yeah.
Well, I got my
Anyhow.
ceiling fan on. Does that count?
Same. Same. Oh gosh, you
Oh,
guys, doesn't make sense to me. It's so frustrating and it's infuriating and people don't question it. I never questioned it. I don't even get how I never questioned like, there's a stark contrast between something medically being done and just eating food. Now, of course, there's people who have to take their meals intravenous, like, through different tubes and whatnot, J tube, feeding tubes, etc. But again, that is completely different than putting it
yeah.
straight into your bloodstream.
Well, yeah, yeah. But they put it in the right arteries and veins for it to go to the right places too.
Well, I mean, they had this is like directly connected to their stomach and whatnot. You're not just putting food like that's
No,
you have to be putting like solutions, like saline solution, like that's for rehydration and whatnot. Psh,
and actually, didn't you do because you do a show on Thursday nights at 10? Didn't you do a show on this with Dr. Time Waster?
yes, we did actually, and she did really good work and investigation because she's a doctor. Um, so she thoroughly enjoyed doing a lot of this research. So she presented it all to us. So if you want to take a look at that, I can get the link and put it in the description after the show. I'm not sure if I'll be able to put up at the end of the show a little box, but if I can pop up at the end of the show a little box that will take you directly to it, I will do it.
Yeah, we're still trying to figure that one out.
I think you can only do it literally at the last 10 seconds of the show. So if that's something we ever want to do, we have to close out the show with saying boop, and then that's that. That's how that works.
I don't know, because I've seen other YouTube videos where I was watching one last night actually, and it was in the middle of the video, and he said, "Oh yeah, and if you want to see me do that, go check out this video," and it linked right up there, and it popped right up on the screen. So I don't
You
know.
did it? Okay. Well, then it must be somehow.
We got to figure it out.
I just have to figure it out, y'all.
It's YouTube's a pain in the butt.
It's like technology. It's always learning. Always something to learn.
Well, with that being said, though, that's it for today. That's all I got.
That
So
that was a lot. That was enough.
yeah, oh yeah, definitely was enough.
This
So be
should have
sure
carried a
to,
trigger warning.
yeah, exactly. Maybe we should have like a little graphic with a gun or something. Trigger warning.
Yeah, I mean, if we get comments about it or something, then that's something we could think about. But I think people know that when they're coming here, they could get all kinds of info headed towards them.
Yeah,
I think.
exactly. And yes, Apasta Babe, this is we use StreamYard to stream to YouTube with. So but anyways, with that being said, that wraps up our show for the day. So hope everybody has a wonderful week coming up ahead, and stay tuned for our next messed up story next week.
Yeah, right. Stay tuned for more bullshit.
But this one actually is not related to the Jehovah's Witnesses this time. It's actually related to Scientology. So,
But there's
you
no
know,
promise that there won't be a Jehovah's Witness story next week.
oh, look at that, Sam. Ken is taking over your job. Ken,
Oh,
you the man.
thanks, Ken.
Sam?
We can count on you. You beat Sam by like 2 comments. Good job, Ken.
You did. That was great. So
Yes.
I'm going to grab the link to the Discord and drop it in the comments for you
Okay.
right now. So if it will show up. There we go.
Thanks,
Come
everybody.
on. There it is.
We
There's the Discord
appreciate
link.
ya.
So come join our Discord if you haven't already. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Let the YouTube algorithms do its things. And we will see you all next week. Hope you all have a wonderful week.
Yep. Listen, obey, be blessed, and apostate your way.